Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some are fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
With the Venmo debit card, you can Venmo everything. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to learn more. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This is the way it feels to move through summer in Lululemon. Iconic Align softness without the front seam. For our smoothest look and feel ever. Summer won't know what hit it. Stretch your limits in the non-stop flexibility of the new Lululemon Align No Line Pant in select stores and at Lululemon.com.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at Polestar.com.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Farzad Rashidi, welcome to the conversation today.
Thanks for having me, John.
It is a pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Maryland. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about the human capital challenges of launching 2 bootstrapped SaaS companies, as is your experience. And I think that'll be super fascinating to explore and unpack together. As we get started, I wanted to share Farzad's bio with everybody. Farzad Rashidi is the lead innovator at Respana, the link building outreach platform that helps businesses increase their organic traffic from Google. He previously ran the marketing efforts at Visme, where he helped the company gain over 20 million active users and pass 3.5 million monthly organic traffic. Both really great, and I'm super interested in learning more about your SaaS experience with these companies. Before we launch on in, anything you would like to highlight by way of your background or personal context, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, of course. I mean, just one thing I'd like to mention is Respond was actually the product we built internally at Visme to help us get to those traffic levels. And it was something that was sort of our secret sauce for a number of years, and just had to sort of spin it off as a separate product. So that I thought it was worth mentioning.
Well, why don't you start us off then and tell us a little bit more about Visme and really what the origins were of that. And even if you just want to talk a little bit about being in just the tech startup space and why and how you got into that space, and then we can go from there.
So I started my career in marketing at Visme, actually. That was my first job in the industry. Have you heard of Visme before, Jonathan?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Awesome. So for folks who haven't heard of us, it's a platform folks can create any sort of presentations, infographics, and whatnot for their business. So you might have heard of tools like Canva, Prezi. It's more of a, I would say, B2B version of that. Now, we started back in 2013. The founder of Visme, Payman, started the company fully bootstrapped. And I joined the company a couple of years later after that, and essentially I cold emailed them, and I came across the product, saw the potential, and that was before all these tools came out. It was one of the first couple of software that was released around that time, and I said that, hey, nobody really knows about this. I'm in marketing. Let's find some ways to work together. So ended up working at the company as the first marketing hire. And we grew that over time. Obviously, it wasn't an overnight success by any means, but over the course of the next decade, now Visme, it's getting, right now we're at 27 million users. So it's growing by the day, about 30 to 40,000 new users every single day. And the way we accomplished it was essentially by focusing a ton on our organic traffic. So, when you're looking for a solution to purchase, usually what folks do is that they go on Google, type, hey, what are some of the best tools to create X, Y, and Z? And we wanted to show up in those places where our target customers were looking for keywords related to us. So what we did was to build a bunch of landing pages and blog posts and whatnot, and that's what everybody else was doing. And it was absolutely crickets. There was nobody landing on our website.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.
If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
Hey, business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta Sky Miles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta Sky Miles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends 7/16/25.
So the more we dug in, we found out the way these search engines work is that they essentially they work based on the popularity contest. So the more authoritative resources in your space, like Harvard Business Review, et cetera, they're writing about you and talking about you and referencing you. And the way they measure that is based on these little links on those websites. Similar way to how academic journals, academic articles are judged by the number of citations they get. And that's sort of a similar model that Google came up with and back in the late 90s and beat all the other search engines. So we're like, that sounds great. Let's go get more of those. It turned out to be a much bigger challenge than we initially thought because, we had to understand, okay, what would be the strategy? Who do we contact? What do we say to them? And that process was sort of done completely manually. We're ducting different solutions together. And essentially, we ended up with a very ugly version of Respona. It wasn't called Respona at the time. It was sort of an internal software that helped us sort of piece this entire process together of outreach to other companies and businesses, other publications in our space. And it worked ridiculously well. And the proof is in the pudding. And we're like, this is awesome. If it can help us get to these levels, and let's put this out as a separate product and see what other businesses we can help. And the rest is history. So we released it back in 2019. We spun it as a separate product. And that's kind of the backstory there. So probably more than what you asked for, John, but hopefully that gives you a more detailed version.
No, that's excellent. And I'm looking at the Respona website right now as you were describing that a little bit. Super interesting. I've used a few different tools, in terms of trying to build organic links and, expand your SEO presence and such. And like you said, for the most part, I find, I'm not a marketer. I'm not, so part of it is I'm a little bit blind, I don't know what I don't know. But for the most part, I would say it's crickets, like you said. And so this is an interesting approach that I'm definitely going to look more into myself. Let's now pivot and talk more about these human capital challenges. So you just talked about how as you were at Visme as the first marketing person, your first industry position, for the first time you start to see the people challenges within that kind of an environment. And as you expand in your career and grow in your role and start to do other things, you're going to be even more attuned to those types of challenges. What are the biggest things that you've noticed over the last decade in terms of those human capital challenges, as, generally speaking, but also specifically within this context of launching 2 bootstrapped SaaS companies?
Sure. That I would say is the biggest challenge we faced. Our job as the founder or the CEO of a company is to hire people who are smarter than us to come and work for us for the foreseeable future. And a lot of the times, if you're starting your own company, you're dealing with limited resources. And so, especially when it comes to attracting smart people, why would they come work for you? Right? Why wouldn't they go work for Google's or the Microsoft of the world and get paid double or triple what you're able to pay them? And also have a much cushier lifestyle, they clock in and out 9 to 5 and get to have a safe and secure job, as one might say. And so that's one of the biggest challenges. And the people that are usually open to join those startups are usually a different tribe, right? So it's usually a type of people that wants to make a contribution that's visible and essentially not be just part of this gigantic machine that you don't really know where it's going. So they'd like to, see the fruit of the work and actually contribute something meaningful to the success of the company and help people. That's how companies make money, is to what scale can you help people or companies accomplish the goals. So one of the first challenges is finding those people. And one of the things that we did, I think rather successfully over the course of the past decade or so, has been utilizing international talent. It's often very easy to sort of look in your backyard and try to look for and recruit people that are around you. And, the United States has a great pool of talent, but the world is a large place. There are a lot of smart people in other countries. And we can be more competitive when it comes to our packages that we can offer, and also the type of work that we can offer, because we are fortunate to be in an industry, in a market that there is a demand for cutting edge technology. And it's not the case for a lot of other countries that are just starting out or lagging behind. So offering a way for folks out of the country to get to work on this type of technology and products and cater to these type of markets, and that's otherwise not as accessible, is a great way to attract top talent. And also, but it comes down to the question of where do you go? How do you find them? And recruiting is a big part of that. So it was a matter of trial and error in terms of figuring out what channels work, in terms of finding good talent.
Yeah, let's dig into that a little bit more, because it's one of those great things about, the pandemic was hard for everyone, but it forced organizations to challenge assumptions around geolocation, right? So like, it used to be that if you're working for a company, you had to be within reasonable commute distance of that, headquarters, where your office was, and there might be some remote work and whatnot, but largely you go to the office, and largely that got disrupted during COVID. Many organizations realize, oh, there's actually, in some cases, no reason for that. Maybe you have the type of work where you need people there in person, but a lot of times it can be remote, or it can be hybrid. Certainly it can be flexible is the point, and people have leaned into that flexibility. And one of the great byproducts of that is to realize, oh, we really can go anywhere in the world to find good talent. So I'm not stuck in Silicon Valley, trying to fight with every other tech company, trying to find good people. Now I literally can find good people from anywhere in the world, who, as long as they have the equipment, the good internet connection, as long as they're able to, meet with the team when we need to meet, etc. Like, it works, and it can work really well. But the challenge, like you said, is what are the channels? How do you find those people? Because it's wonderful if now all of a sudden our labor market, our potential labor market expands from this Northern California Bay Area region to now we can literally hire anyone from throughout the world, and we have billions of potential, employees. But how do you find them? How do you actually identify who those are, and sift through applicants, and leverage the great talent that you might find anywhere in the world? So what were some of the things you found through trial and error about how to do that effectively?
Yeah, I mean, that's you hit the nail exactly. So as for the hiring challenges, I would say it comes down to the market. So identifying what type of roles and what type of markets you should focus on for those roles. So for engineering, for instance, we had a lot of luck in finding great talent in Ukraine and Russia. So before the war, there were not that much animosity between those two countries. So, and those are countries that prioritize engineering, and software engineering in particular. And one of those markets that was not quite as attractive for larger tech companies, because they obviously didn't have that great of a relationship, especially Russia, with the US. So, Facebook wouldn't go open an office in Moscow, but they did that, like in Poland, for example. So Poland talent was much more rare, scarce than those two countries. So we were like, that's great. Let's hire a lot of engineers from Ukraine and Russia, and they speak the same language. They are in a very similar culture, and they work great together. And we all know what happened a few years ago. Now, what happened? Obviously, that caused a lot of challenges, because half of our engineering team is Russian and the other half are Ukrainian. And so good luck trying to have them work together while there's a war going on between those two countries. So obviously that posed a lot of unique challenges, which I can spend a whole hour talking about that and how we decoupled and resolved that. But there are other types of markets great for different types of roles, like, for example, for customer success, customer-facing roles, even sales. South African market was excellent. So a lot of great talent. People speak English as their first language. They also have a lot of overlapping hours with Europe. So that's perfect for that type of demographic of audience. So understanding what market for what roles are ideal. It's not to say South Africa doesn't have great engineers. There are, but I'm talking in terms of majority averages, right?
Yeah.
And then digging in and see how people find jobs in those countries, because it's completely different from when you go from one country to another. Similar to how in the US people use LinkedIn or say Indeed. So you need to find those local job boards and figure out exactly how it works. And we usually had a lot of luck hiring a recruiter at that country and actually have them figure that out for us and teach us how to do it. And be able to connect with that and know where the good universities are and understand, where to find talent. Like we had a lot of engineers hired from Yandex, which is like the Russian Google. And turns out they were mistreating their employees terribly, but they are extremely smart people who work as a senior engineer at a search engine company. So like, that's amazing. And these are the type of talent we would normally never have access to. So obviously, there's pros and cons with that, as I mentioned. But yeah, so that hopefully gives you the big picture.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is you can't just do the shotgun approach. You can't just think, oh, because we're, a US based company, anyone in the world is going to want to work for us. You can't just have your internal, your job board where you post jobs. You can't just use Indeed or LinkedIn. Like you really do have to target your approach depending on the region, depending on the country, work with specific recruiters in those areas, etc. Now, hopefully that sounds obvious to people. Like, of course, that is the case. But we like to take shortcuts and we like to, think that maybe it's easier than that. And frankly, sometimes we're a little bit Western centric and we're US centric. We think that everything revolves around us. So of course, everyone wants to come work for us. And that's, people may want to come work for us, but they don't know. Like that's the thing is you have to get the word out. You have to help people understand that there are these opportunities and that you do have a flexible environment, that you can leverage their talents from wherever they might be without relocation. All of that takes effort. It takes communication. It takes time. It takes marketing. It takes employer branding, all of those things. And I'm thinking, this was many years ago. This was over a decade ago, but my family lived in Minsk, Belarus, and we did a lot of work with their high-tech sector there, which I imagine, is probably similar when you're talking about Russia or Ukraine. Obviously, the same kind of general cultural family there in that region. Not the same size of tech sector as you would see in those other countries, but some really, really bright, great people who were, finding more and more of a foothold in at least the European economy, certainly the global economy. My point is like, yeah, there is so much potential talent in pockets that oftentimes we haven't even thought about. We haven't even thought about trying to tap into. And if we have a business model, if we have a work design model that's conducive to flexible work and remote work, why not find ways to effectively leverage that so that we can have access to really great top talent that we never would be able to compete for within, strictly say Silicon Valley, Silicon Slopes kind of work environment, labor market.
100%.
Well, great. Any other, so finding the talent obviously has been a challenge. Finding the right channels to promote and to recruit has been a challenge. Any other human capital challenges that you've really seen firsthand in your time with these SaaS companies?
Well, yes, plenty. And I would say the next biggest thing is after you recruit talent from all sorts of countries, then you have to make them communicate with each other because a business is an interconnected thing. So people come from different backgrounds, different cultures. Like, for example, we have team members in Italy. And, the way the males in the Italian culture speak and talk may come across as rude to some cultures in Eastern Europeans or in South Africans. So building these communication channels in a way that people can understand each other and basically don't take things the wrong way and be able to communicate And there are some things that are completely out of our control, like two countries start getting into a war, and then obviously there are challenges with that. So even though it sounds amazing, that you're like, hey, great, I can hire people from out of the country with different backgrounds. It does pose its own challenges when it comes to interconnectedness and essentially communication. So building processes and building the company structure around that is something that is extremely important. Maybe grouping folks that come from similar backgrounds together. So that's why, for each function of the company, we focus on one market. So say, for example, for support, you go to the Philippines, right? So all the support people that communicate and talk to each other are from there, from that region. They speak their language, and then they have the similar cultural values. So that's great. They get to work together very well. And then engineering is, for example, is based out of Poland or some other country. And then sales and marketing is based out of South Africa. And then, or for example, our customer success based out of the US. So kind of having departments built. So not just every person comes from every country. Essentially, and it's not to say people of the same country all have the same culture and same values. Sure. But it definitely makes it a lot easier to have them communicate with each other and collaborate on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, we have to connect them all together and essentially have the entire team work together. But that is a much easier thing to do versus two engineers from two different countries that are at war. So basically, compartmentalizing that is one of the things that's worked really well.
Yeah. And it highlights the need. I think one of the transferable skills that I think every organization is going to need in their workforce moving forward, today, but also in the future of work is just intercultural dynamics and intercultural communication skills. The ability for us to work in a more diverse environment with people from vastly different backgrounds, worldviews, perspectives, experiences, that is hugely valuable. And it's work, and it requires a certain level of cultural competence that sometimes people don't have. And especially if there's geopolitical challenges, cultural clashes between groups, that can make it extra challenging. But like you said, even within a country, like we're not a monolith. In the US, we huge differences, in Poland, huge differences, and in Russia, huge differences across the country. And so remembering too that like part of what we need to do as organizational leaders is develop a culture and support that through training, through structures and systems and onboardings and all of those things, but developing that culture that can really promote this idea of diversity and inclusion and really help people to become more interculturally competent, to be able to work together, even if, you see things differently, even if you completely disagree with somebody, even if you hold dramatically different political views than somebody, like all of that in the modern world of work with this globally interconnected labor force, like we have to figure that out better. And that's, I think, tacking on to what you just shared, that's part of the ongoing challenge. And the organizations that are going to thrive in the future are going to be those that do a better job of figuring that out and can foster that within their organizations. Well, Farzad, I note the time. I need to let you go here in just a minute. This has been a great conversation. And I'm super thrilled to have had the chance to sit down with you. Before we wrap things up, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team, and then give us the final word on the topic for today.
Of course. Yep. The best way to learn more about what I do is navigating to our website, respona.com, respona.com. We have a ton of free educational content pieces if folks are interested in learning more. And my name is Farzad Rashidi. There aren't a ton of us out there in the world, so I'm pretty easy to spot on LinkedIn. If you'd like to drop by and say hi, it's the best way to connect with me. I just wanted to thank you for giving me the opportunity to come on this show. I know I think we were in touch actually last year. So it's been definitely worthwhile waiting. And so it's been a real true honor to get to meet you in person, or I guess over Zoom as well. That's best as we could get. But yes, thank you again for having me on the show. I'm a big fan, and hopefully we get to keep in touch.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. It really has been a pleasure to sit down with you. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Farzad can do for you, what his team can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.